Jace Denman for Flag Family Media. I'm here with head coach Steve Laqua of your MSUM Dragons. Coach, we're on the eve right now of game one of season. I don't even know how many seasons it is now. Double digits at least.
More than I
but
can
the 2025 season. You go through last season. You go into the off season. What has the off season been like for you and the coaching staff, and obviously getting here to fall camp?
Well, I think always we're trying to build fundamentals. We're trying to lift the floor of our program, which really means creating as much quality depth as we can. And I think that's one of the things about fall camp. We felt really good about coming out of fall camp that we've grown our depth, not just offensively and defensively, but also in special teams. And so I think that's a winning edge. And if you can have depth there, you can have players performing at a high level, it can change the game. And so that's been a good part of the offseason. We've changed some things, some way that we've practiced. I think that's engaged some of those young players and maybe helped speed up their development. And so that's been exciting. And hopefully now we can see it live in action, and hopefully it pays off.
Well, when it comes to developing the younger players for that depth, number one, you've got maybe some guys, at least in some key spots, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that'll be coming into this season expecting to play more. You're going to need them to play more. But then also when you talk about those guys and their development, what about this incoming class you have, this class of freshmen that, majority are going to be redshirted this year, and you're going to build that depth for the following years because you got a lot of seniors in some key places this year. So talk about how you get those guys some reps that'll be in a bigger role this year, and then obviously developing the future here at MSUM.
Yeah, you always have to have kind of a broad picture and view of things of like, hey, we've got to be ready to win now, but we also have to be planning for the big picture of the future and developing guys. And so we're a developmental program. We bring in guys. I think we've done a really good job of retaining them, keeping them here for their 4 to 5 years, developing into good players. And so that plan really kicks off. So if you're at a practice, you can watch two things going on at once where we are developing guys that are going to play this week, and they're in live game action of looks that they're going to see. And on the other end of the field, we have another group of guys that are trying to get as many fundamental looks that are game-like as possible in smaller situations that maybe don't require as much contact, maybe don't require as much risk of injury, so to say. And so there's a broad-based perspective to be able to make that happen. And so really good freshman class that we do think can contribute. I think last year's guys, that was a redshirt class, was a good class. And so we need those two classes to step up because, as you said, 22 seniors on this class. They need the support from those guys, but those guys got to be ready in the future to take over.
Well, when you talk about having 22 seniors this year, it was just a couple years ago. You only had a couple seniors on this roster. Now you got a pretty big senior class by the standards, at least as far as I've been here. So when you have that kind of senior class and you've got some juniors, obviously, and some redshirts in there that have a lot of experience so far coming into this year, does that increase expectations, at least from the coaching staff? I know you want to continue to get 1% better every day. You want to continue to push to that next level, get to the playoffs, etc. But what kind of expectations does the coaching staff have for this program?
Well, expectations-wise, with a veteran crew, it allows us to be able to move forward quicker through fall camp, through spring ball, of like, okay, we've got this stuff down. We can try and advance there, but at the same time, we can put the expectations on the shoulders of those seniors to lead. Like, hey, we need help. We need 22 extra coaches on the field developing the young guys, pull them off to the side. Hey, what'd you see? How can you do better? Give them some coaching feedback. And so really be extensions of the coaching staff. And I think this group's done a great job of that. That's something we've worked really hard to develop within the culture. They've taken it. They've done a great job, and that's part of the reason why these young guys are coming around so quickly.
One thing we want to ask, obviously, before we get to the season game, I know we talked about it on Original Dragon Media Day, but obviously the big word is Jack Strand. He's one of the 10 Division II athletes that's on the watch list for the Shrine Bowl coming up this offseason. Obviously, you guys are all focused on the development of this team. Obviously, week one, you're worried about Northern Michigan. But what's it like having a player like Jack Strand, not only from the development he's gone through in his time as a Dragon, but obviously the eyes that are on him, and then also his leadership capabilities for that quarterback room, because somebody's going to have to step into his place next season.
Well, absolutely, and Jack's done a great job of helping the young quarterbacks, right? Understand the system, what are the challenges he's been through, how's he doing things, what's his routine, and so they can follow along. But he's helped the young wideouts, hey, this is where I'm kind of expecting you, this is what we're thinking on this play. And so he's helped not just on the football, but I think he's given a great example to all the guys on the team of, hey, you know what, football is important here, but there's a lot of things that are just as important or more important than the football that are valued in this program. And so let's not lose sight of those things. And so let's make sure that if you're a Dragon, you're bought into all of Dragon football, not just throwing the ball 60 times a game, but everything else. And so I think he's been a great example. He's had obviously a lot of NFL scout eyes on him, but he's handled the pressure. It hasn't changed him. He's been the same guy day in and out. And I think that example helps everybody else say, hey, as the pressure builds, or as there's big games, or as there's eyes on you when it's your turn to make a play, hey, here's the example of how to handle it. Just do it like you do every single day. It's just like practice. Go out there and be who you are.
Well, his one flaw, though, is allowing his brother to go to that other school within the conference. But that's a different story for a different time. As we get ready, obviously, for Northern Michigan, super excited about it. Traveling to a place I've never been before. I'm not sure about yourself. Going to the Superior Dome, the world's largest wooden dome. I've been watching some of their game from last season, kind of trying to get a feel for them. What can you tell us about Northern Michigan as you guys prepare to go take on the Wildcats?
Well, I think for people that have watched the NSIC, there's a team that's similar to Minot in the sense of offensively similar schemes, maybe a year behind where Minot was. Last year was their first year into this scheme of running the triple option. If you remember, Minot kind of was that 2 years ago, and then last year's where they hit their stride. They got into their second year in that system and really took off. And you could tell this team from game one against Duluth to the very last game, they'd gotten a ton better. And so you could see them start, and you're like, okay, now you're a little concerned that they're going to take off like Minot did last year. And so we're certainly going to have to control the tempo of the game, very similar to what we've seen in a Minot type game, where we've got to control the tempo, the pace, the scoring, ideally. Defensively, we're going to have to be sound from top to bottom over and over and over, because they make you play gap sound. Defensively, their defense provides a lot of different challenges, from pressure to different looks, coverage-wise. But for us, it's trying to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to see? Because our offense is a little bit like their offense. It's different, but on the other end of the spectrum. And so how are they going to play an offense like that? We don't really know. And so some of those things we're going to have to figure out in real time and be able to make quick, good adjustments to here's what they're giving us and here's what we got to make sure that we do. And so early out, the quicker we can feel it out and figure it out, the better it is for the Dragons.
Well, when you look at that conference over there, they are a run-heavy type of conference over there. I was literally trying to go through their games last year and find a game where they would be playing a team that's similar to the Dragons. So when you really look defensively, I just don't know how to compare this Dragon offense to this Northern Michigan defense, because I don't think they've really seen anything like this Dragon offense, because not only do you have a pass-heavy offense, but you've right now got a wide receiver room that's the healthiest it's been in probably about 18 months or so. So it seems like that should be an advantage to your team going into this one.
Well, hopefully, you've got senior leadership, you've got experience there. You want to lean on that, and you hope those areas can be an advantage. But at the end of the day, we got to go out there and produce. It's going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be loud in there. It's the first game. There's some jitters, and so we've got to get through that as fast as possible. If we can, I think we've got a chance. You can play it out both ways. If they start with the ball and long drive and score, and we go 3 and out, and they long drive and score, we're in the middle of second quarter and hardly touch the ball. Now you could play it on the flip side. If we come out and start fast and get a stop and then can score, you're like, well, now they're behind the 8 ball. And that's in games that have different styles of play like this. That's where the start is very critical, and so it's going to be important.
And we've seen that in this Dragon program the last couple of years, where they've got a team that wants to hold onto the ball, pound it out, slow the tempo of the game down. You guys come out and maybe you score real quick. We looked at a game, James and I, last year. I think it might have been the Sioux Falls game, and I think they had at least double the plays of your team, and you guys were still able to win that game. But it's obviously being effective when you do have the ball.
Correct. So we have to be efficient. Third downs to make sure we keep the chains moving, but we got to be great on first down, and that usually is what makes us click. If we can get the first down, first down, now we've got some momentum, and so got to start fast.
Would you say that is the main key to this game and trying to get a victory on the road? I
think it's critical to start both offensively and defensively. Can we get it figured out and play well? I think in early games, special teams are critical, and so we've got to be able to produce and change the field there and make sure that they're not getting us. Last year we got a special teams that got us on a big kickoff return, and we can't have that. We've got to be sound in the kicking game.
There you go. All right, well, best of luck, Coach, as you get the season started. We'll be there with all the coverage right on our station, WZFG The Flag. So best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, this is Jace Denman for Flag Family Media with head coach Steve Laqua. We'll talk to you soon.